Hi, welcome to Quick Chats, where we have guests from the wellness space. And today we have with us Ava, who is a motherhood and empowerment parent coach from the Curious Mama. Hi, Ava, welcome.
Hi, Yasmin. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here today with us. And today we are actually going to talk about a pet topic, I would say, for both myself and Ava, which is mom guilt. And we have to keep this short, Ava, like I said, because we can talk about it all day, all night. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so let's just hear it as from your point of view. What do you think is mom guilt?
I think mom guilt is when we feel guilty about what we are doing or what we are not doing for our children. And I think it's happen usually when we have a certain perspective that what we need to do, uh, whether is it, not being there for our children, whether is it trying to be away from our children or feeling that we are not doing enough for our children, or whether is it having like perspective that we need to be better in terms of managing our anger, managing our frustration, balancing it all, because like we always feel that we need to be perfect. We need to be there in that sense of trying to have our career, our parenting, our roles and various roles in life all figured out. So there's certain guilt that we receive or we experience, and we find it overwhelming sometimes. So that's what usually happens for the mothers that I speak with and the mothers that I coach with. Yeah.
Right. So I think it also brings to mind the part where we think that being busy is success, right? And
Mm,
busy is good, and
yeah.
and this thing about super moms, which we
Oh, yes.
find that it's like they love to be called super moms and
Mm-hmm.
octopus moms, and when you are actually got your work right, your home right, and your kids right, you are a awesome super mom, right? And when that
Yeah.
happens, there's actually a whole lot of guilt and
Mm-hmm.
burnout and anger and
Mm-hmm.
stress that actually is
Mm-hmm.
brewing inside. So do you actually see that with your clients?
Oh, definitely. I think a lot of parents and mothers especially, um, sometimes we always think that we can get back to work or bounce back after the postpartum period. I think society has kind of evolved in a way that, like what you rightly mentioned, we take pride in our achievements and being productivity. And we kind of tie in our self-worth and how we value ourselves as a person to what we do rather than who we are or who we become. So I think um a lot of information that we receive as a person, as a mother especially, whether it's it from well-meaning friends or families or from social media or from the things that we read, um a lot of clients tell me that I really feel that I am not enough. I feel that I am not there at that level that I want to be, and the mother and person I want to be. And a lot of conversations that we have is talking about trying to juggle, trying to make sense of what kind of parenting styles that I want to embrace. Yes, I think we are privileged in this era that we have the information that allows us to understand different types of parenting or ways to engage our children as compared to our parents or grandparents era, where they know and they learn parenting through observation of other mother-like figures or their own parents or their grandparents. So the information that they have is very limited as compared to us. But I think we are on the other side of the spectrum where we have so many information. It's really confusing. And I think that is also one of the main contributing factors of mom guilt that I have observed, based on my own experience and so based on the people that I speak with as well. So I think with that comes with the overwhelm, with that comes with the guilt, with that comes with the confusion. Like, how do I start even finding out what works for me? and what works for my child and what works for my family, because everyone's circumstances and situations and values are so different. And I think that sense of confusion and loss in trying to understand our children, trying to understand what their needs are, and building the trusting and connected relationship with our children since young. I think that's has been a consistent thing that I've been having conversations with my clients, and also with the moms that I speak with.
So I think this part about where people come to you and they talk about their parenting styles and they mostly have young kids, right? And they get confused about what they're supposed to do, and there's so many things out there, what they want to do, what they should do. And then of course some of them, they live with their moms and in-laws, and what they want to do is not the same as what people are asking them to do. And so that kind of like puts mom in a spot. So when you have clients like that, what is the kind of things that you hear, and what would you actually start with? Because I know coaching is a long process, but what is the first few steps that you actually start with? I'm asking this is because we hear this a lot during safe conversations as well.
Yes.
Right. And this is always ends up like in a very confused state of mind. Like, I don't know what I want to do. Right.
Yeah,
So
it can be. I mean, for me myself, I also took quite a while to kind of figure out, and it's not a like you figure out once and that's it kind of thing. It's an ongoing journey and ongoing discovery. Meaning to say that even though you might have some understanding right now in terms of, how you want to parent and defining your own parenting philosophy, it's an ongoing kind of reflection as well. So in my own one-to-one coaching and my group program, I do what I call like a series of reflections like exercise. But what essentially that I hope to empower my clients is really to kind of like reflect um the influences that we have in terms of parenting, and also reflect in terms of what we value. So we talk about like personal values, mothering values. We talk about in terms of reflection about how we were parented as a child, or whether is it parented based on like mothers and mother-like figures. We kind of like reflect, in terms of like our own experience, like what we want to take away from this experience, whether is it a positive or not so positive experience. And then from there, we kind of like summarize in terms of our own values, our own experiences, and also in terms of what kind of additional elements and things that we have learned from different information, different sources, and kind of like putting together a kind of roadmap, or kind of a guide in terms of how that will guide us in our mothering, in our day-to-day lives, in our decision making. So for example, if let's say that I know that my one of the key values that I have is curious, as you can see here. And how I do that as a daily practice for myself is to always be curious and not jump into conclusion and judgment in terms of my own life, and also in terms of parenting. So how I want and kind of like help my children is to look at opportunity and kind of follow their interest, and understand and being observant and knowing what are the opportunities to continue conversations, and this take intentional effort. How this is different from my parenting, or how I was parented, is that my mother is actually a teacher. So a lot of times as a parent, or as being parented, I found like there was a certain frame, or like a rigid way of thinking.
your mom brought back home her work, yeah?
Yes. So like there's a lot of outcome-based like expectation of how
Right.
I want, how she expected me to be, and how she expected me to behave as a person, and as a child. And it was quite challenging for me to kind of like hear my own voice, and of like get curious about things. And I think I struggled pretty much of finding my own voice and identity,
Mm.
as a person and as an adult, and also especially being a mom, where in my first year of being a motherhood, it was really kind of like figure out myself, trying to kind of define who I am as a person. And it's a huge shift, right? Being a mother is a psychological shift, it's a physical shift, an emotional shift. So I think learning from this, the whole experience of being parented and reflecting on this, I felt that, like, this value helps me to, is something that kind of drives me as a person, in my mothering, in my parenting as well. So that's how I try to bring that sense of reflection and discovery, because as a coach, I don't give the answers. It comes from the clients itself. It comes from it's all unique in our own experience and in our own reflection. So I think that's one of the key things I try to guide them and kind of like help them to discover and gain insight from. So I think a lot of people find very threatening to look at themselves because they don't feel safe sharing, whether is it with someone, or they feel that they are ashamed. There's a sense of guilt and shame within themselves. Like, once they share something, a lot of things will tumble out, and then things will happen, and there's a lot of things that they can deal with, and there's also another spectrum where they didn't realize and they feel that everything is okay, it's normal, this is motherhood, we just need to be self-sacrificial, we just need to pull it on, and after 21 years my children has grown up, then I'll have my own freedom, and that's
Yeah,
the
and you're
that
so
I
old
just
and
stuff
you
like
can't do anything after
get,
that, 21 years
get rid
later.
of my kids. Yeah,
Yes.
so it is tricky, but how should I put it? I think what really helps me as a coach is to know that we all are on different paths. And for me as a coach is to really to meet them where they are and to support them in terms of what they need at that point of time. So even though there's certain frameworks, there's certain guides, there's certain toolkits, there's certain perspective that I personally am very passionate about and I want to share, but I think it's about also the readiness of the person. And it might not be immediate, it might not be like, like a certain aha moment, kind of thing. And I think this is one of the things that I'm also experimenting with in terms of how I want to support my clients, because sometimes it's not just like a 4 weeks or 6 weeks or 8 weeks kind of program or one-to-one coaching or group program. It's an ongoing journey. And I think like what we have observed in our own space or my own community, supporting mothers is not just like a come together talk. It's an ongoing journey. And of course, it's great to have the avenue to come together. But I think the mindset that mothers need support, that's one. And having the avenue, that's two, and being open to get support and help. I think that's on a continual basis.
The importance of self-care itself is a very big topic. That people are
Yeah,
like, they
definitely.
just leave me on autopilot and just don't
Yeah,
disturb
yeah,
me, and
yeah.
so I
Mm.
think when you finally get into the self-care mode, and then you suddenly get into the, okay, fine, I will take a first step towards self-work. Okay, journaling, this is not so scary. Okay, a mindful nature walk, this is not so scary. I find, because it's also based on personal
Mm,
experience lah, based on personal experience, where
mm,
you finally just take a first step, and then you will definitely start taking little steps, because the moment you decide to get to know yourself and realize that it's not scary, you're going to make friends with yourself. And it's
yeah,
important. It's important
yes.
to be a better mom, to know yourself. And then once you get there, then the self-awareness kicks in. And self-awareness is very messy, I
Mm-hmm.
find. Because the moment you get self-aware and you suddenly go like, okay, I suddenly know that I'm like this. These are my triggers. These are this. And then suddenly you got to ask this question like, what am I going to do now? Because suddenly you got all these things in your hand and you're like, I don't know what to do. So which is why I always
Right.
find that it's always good to have the coaching space within the area where you go like, okay, you need a coach to help you answer these questions, because the coach will be able to meet you where you're at and bring you at your own pace. And I agree with you that it's always good to be in the presence of people that you can always tap on to say, hey, I need about 2 sessions with you to help me unpack this, because this is a bit uncomfortable and things like that. So yeah, so I really think that it's important. You cannot just say, oh, I don't want any coaching, I don't want any therapy, or I'm not going to see a psychotherapist. It's not about that. It's good to know who they are, what they do, maybe who you like, have a short list of who you want to talk to. And when things get really tough, or you're ready to start on that first step, then you actually have a number to call, you know.
Yeah.
This is what I feel. That's the whole framework just comes together, and it's for that. And it's already difficult to get moms to move one step towards that space to say, please sleep for 15 minutes. It's already so difficult to do that. So I think it's nice that there are coaches like yourself in the space who are looking at moms and everything that we actually are going through, and who are moms themselves, right? So it's nice. So that brings us to the end of our chat, where I would like to hear that if there's actually one thing that you would like to say to everyone who's listening, what would that be?
So many things, to be honest, but I think one thing is to be able to be confident in mothering your own terms, and to be able to also ask and accept help.
That's a big one, yeah.
That's a big one, yes. But I feel very strongly about this.
I always add on one more to that also. When you know how to ask and accept help, and know who to get the help from. Thank you so much, Ava, for joining us today and sharing all these beautiful things. And yeah, wish you all the best in your coaching journey.
Thank you so much for having me.
Bye-bye.